Hey, what's up guys, Sir Emanon here, and welcome to another feature match commentary on the channel today. So this is going to be the finals for the 3v3 LCS happening this weekend, and it's going to be between two spectacular teams here. So what I'm going to be doing actually is pretty similar to the last time I commented and covered the previous 3v3 LCS finals, which is I'll be having all the matches in one singular video, so you guys can go ahead and binge watch this. So grab your popcorn, sit down, relax, and enjoy some hopefully very good games here. So what we got is actually very convenient setup here, which is that all the players in the blue for every replay are going to be on the same team, likewise for the red, and additionally all the players on the blue team are playing dinosaurs with a small shuttle package splashed in for going second. Meanwhile, this player in the red right here is playing Dragon Link, but their teammates are both playing Prank Kids, and you'll obviously see this as we get into the matches here. But before we get started, just want to of course shout out Luxury Gaming. Thank you very much for setting up this tournament circuit as usual, and if you do want to check out their social media platforms, I will have all their links in the description box below for you guys to check out. But let's not waste any more time and get started with this first match without any further ado. So we got 9-3-2-7-0 on, as I mentioned, Dragon Link versus Cretaceum on Dinosaurs. So let's get started now with this match. So it looks like Dinosaur did win the RPS, and they're actually choosing to go first, which is pretty interesting for sure. So the opening hand for Dino going first is going to be Giant Rex, Harpy's Feather Duster, Call by the Grave, Baby, and Misk. So you got Misk Baby, which is full combo by itself. Interesting to see a Giant Rex. We've seen previous builds cut this card. I'm actually not entirely sure if all the players are on the same list, but I guess we'll get more intel as we kind of watch through these replays here. But yeah, we see Feather Duster main decked as well. So super solid hand, I would say. And then the opening hand for Dragon Link going second is going to be World Legacy Guard Dragon, Dark Ruler No More, Rocket Synchron, Tracer, and Ash. So we see Dark Ruler main decked, which I think is pretty par for the course for this deck to see this card in the main deck as it goes second card. Meanwhile, we have Ash for the Misk, which is pretty good. And then we have some Dragon combos going here. So Dino's going to kick things off here. They're going to start up with Miscellaneous Sources hand effect, and then they're going to use the Graveyard effect. That's actually going to resolve, so maybe they're going to hold out for a Baby to Ash this. But of course, there's going to be Called by the Grave regardless, so shouldn't really matter too much. Archosaur effect is going to activate. That's going to pop Baby to add a copy of Double Evolution Pill to hand. They're going to, in fact, Ash the Baby instead, but they will, of course, chain Call by the Grave to negate it. So Baby will resolve for a copy of Soul Eating Overraptor. And then Ovi effect is going to search for a copy of Baby. They're then going to normal summon the Baby and then use Ovi's effect, popping the Baby on field to summon the other one back from graveyard, which triggers the Baby to summon a copy of Misk from deck. And then from here, they're going to link away the Archosaur into a copy of Hcabe, and then they're going to link into a copy of Artifact Dagda. So going for maybe a Scythe play here, which is pretty interesting. They're going to Evolution Pill here for the Giant Rex and Hcabe being banished. And that's going to also trigger the Dagda since a card was activated on the field. So that's going to set Scythe and then summon a copy of Tyranno from the Double Evolution Pill here. Giant Rex also gets to trigger summoning itself back to the field, so likely going Tornado Dragon here, I would imagine. So yeah, going to go for Tornado Dragon, and then they're going to proceed to pass. So this actually does beat Dark Ruler No More, as long as they do it in standby phase, because Scythe will just activate, and the Dragon Link player can't really do much. So they're going to draw Safety for turn, which is just, more engine cards. They're going to immediately use Tornado Dragon on the Scythe, and then Scythe is going to activate. That's going to go ahead and summon itself back. And then we're going to go ahead and just see an immediate concession from the Dragon Link player. So game one of this set is going to actually go to Dinosaurs. Did not expect that, actually, to see kind of a go-first oriented combo that also beats Dark Ruler. But hey, I mean, that's very, very strong for sure. So we're going to go ahead and move to game two, where it looks like the Dragon Link player is going to kick things off, and they're going to start with a copy of Anti-Spell Fragrance, Quick Launch, Chaos Space, Ravine, and Tracer in their opening hand. So this is definitely pretty solid. You got full combo, definitely, and Anti-Spell is such a good way to kind of supplement ending boards because it beats things like, Mystic Mine, which of course isn't super popular right now, but beats things like Dark Ruler, Lightning Storm, all the super, super strong blowout cards. So, that's definitely strong to see. And then the opening hand for Dinos going second is going to be Archosaur, Phantasme, Overraptor, Shaddoll Dragon, and UCT. So there's a bit of the, kind of Shaddoll splash or engine being splashed in here. Phantasme is going to help kind of facilitate this hand because it is decent, but it could use, a bit more firepower for going second. So Dragon's going to start with Chaos Space. That's going to pitch Tracer to search for Wyvern Burster. And then they're going to follow that up with banishing the Tracer to summon out the Wyvern Burster from hand. And then they're going to link that away for a copy of Striker Dragon, triggering both effects to grab a copy of Collapse Serpent, as well as a copy of Boot Sector Launch from deck to hand. And then they're going to banish the Wyvern Burster for the Collapse Serpent, which enables the Chaos Space to put back the Wyvern Burster for a draw. That's going to be Rocket Synchron here. Nice to have another target for the boot sector. So those are going to be linked off for a copy of Hermetic Seal, which triggers the, of course, Collapse Serpent for the Wyvern Burster back. And then from here, they're going to quick launch for a copy of the Rocket Tracer. And then they're going to normal summon Rocket Synchron, so opting to actually commit the normal there. They're going to then link it to LP, and then link the Tracer away into Striker, and here's where Phantasma is going to be dropped for that free Saryuja. So yeah, Phantasma going to be used on summon prior to LP effect, so that's going to draw 4 cards. Actually not the greatest ones in terms of the Dino engine, but they drew into Ash Dark Ruler, which is quite nice. I imagine they'll put back maybe the Shaddoll Dragon, perhaps. They could put back the duplicate Ash. We'll just have to see. So, gonna put back the Dragon, and then gonna be thinking on the other 2. And it looks like there's also no time in the finals, which is also interesting to note. They actually might keep the second Ash now they're thinking about it, because one might be used here, and the other might be used on the Seal the following turn. So, keeping 2 Ash might actually be a decent idea. So they returned a duplicate UCT there. I just didn't keep track. And the Argisaur. Yeah, so keeping double Ash there, which I think makes actually more sense now that I think about it. So LP is going to be activated. That's going to be Ash right there. And Ash resolves here. So we're going to see Ravine come down next. That's going to pitch the Wyvern Burster for the Absolouter, which triggers to add a copy of Rocket Synchron. And then they're going to then activate Boot Sector Launch, and then activate Striker Dragon's effect. That's going to pop LP to add back Tracer. And then Boot Sector Launch is going to activate, summoning out the Tracer and the Recharger, or not Recharger, the Synchron from hand. And then the Tracer is going to be summoned, or activated, rather, sorry, excuse me, for the Recharger right there. I just totally got my words confused. But yeah, popping the Striker Dragon for the Recharger. Those are going to be converted into a copy of the Chaos Ruler. That effect is going to be used. That's going to mill 5 and hits some pretty solid cards for sure. Going to go perhaps for the Levianeer, which could rip another card out of the hand. Yeah, Chamber is not the greatest since the normal summon was already committed. So yeah, they're just going to grab Levy here. Gonna synchro those off for a copy of the Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss. They're then going to banish 3 Darks. That's going to summon out Levy. And then Levy is going to go ahead and hit, looks like the other Ash out of hand. So the Seal will get to resolve this time. Or not this time, but just in general. Gonna set the anti-spell and then pass turn. So this is pretty decent, especially because, again, Anti-Spell does beat the Dark Ruler here. So for turn, we can say top deck to Prosperity. Anti-Spell going to be flipped up in the draw phase here, and then we can proceed to main 1. They're going to be thinking, they're going to normal summon Oviraptor, and then use that effect. That's going to go ahead and search for a copy of Pankratops. So this is going to be used probably to out the Anti-Spell, because like even if you out parts of the board with this, like you kind of need more engine to help break the board entirely. I think Prosperity is going to have to resolve in order for that to happen. So I think Anti-Spell has to be outed. They're going to special Pankratops because the opponent still controls more monsters, and then they're going to fire it off for the Anti-Spell. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. This also enables the Dark Ruler to come down just to prevent the Hot Red from negating the Prosperity. And that'll be used. So it's going to go ahead and banish 6. So let's look at those, actually. Secure Gardner, Tornado Dragon, Dagda, Pentastag, Dugaris, and Castel. I do imagine they side out the Scythe package going first, or just the Scythe going first. But Castel here, which is pretty interesting. That's going to go ahead and activate 6, and those are actually not the greatest. Yeah, I think they were looking for something a bit more impactful. Granted, I think Oviraptor is decent for the next turn, to be fair. Just given the fact that even if they were to get Misk, actually wouldn't really do much now that I think about it more. Because they already had access to UCT. Because Pankratops is in grave, so as long as like Ovi eventually hits the grave, it'll also just be enough dinos for this. So yeah, I guess that's actually a fair enough Prosperity. Not too bad there. They're going to link away for the Predaplant Verte Anaconda, and then that enables just the hard summon UCT right here. And then they're actually going to use Anaconda effect, paying 2,000 and sending Shaddoll Fusion, which enables, of course, the Winda to come down here. So getting Dragon and Aerial, which will, curtail a lot of the follow-up. So Boot Sector is going to be outed, and, you can get rid of like Chaos Ruler, Recharger, and, some other card. So that is super, super good. So Aerial or Aerial and Dragon. Dragon on boot, and then Aerial is going to be targeting Ruler, Chamber, and Recharger. Yeah, those are some super solid hits. So yeah, Wind is on the field now, so it's going to be really tough for Dragons to actually come back from this because their board's just going to get cleared here. They're going to proceed to battle phase. They're going to attack into Seal. Seal will activate. Of course, it's negated, but its graveyard effect still triggers for Seyfert. And they're going to attack into Levy and attack into Hot Red. I wonder if they attack over Seyfert here, just because, like, if they leave it on board, it's not really doing much because it's on 0/0 due to Seal. And then if they like link into Strike a Dragon, it doesn't really do a whole ton. Recharger's banished, and like they can get back Levy, but that's their one special under Winda. So maybe leaving it on field is actually not too bad here. Although there might be a punish for it. Ravine's already gone through, so like an extra dragon doesn't convert into Romulus. I'm not entirely sure if there's a punish for this, but let's see if they actually leave it on board. They actually don't, so they're going to clear over the Safer anyways, and then pass. For turn, we're going to say another top deck anti-spell. So yeah, that's definitely actually not going to be aiding in terms of dealing with his board state. So Safer's going to be banished to add back Levy, and then they really can't do much besides just summon Levy here. So they're going to go ahead and do that. They're going to banish 2 Darks and a Light Monster for it, and then they're actually going to use the effect. So they're going to go ahead and chain the UCT in response. That's going to pop the Verite Anaconda to set the Levy, and then the Levy resolves. So it can attempt to pop the window, but of course, window protects itself. And then going to set anti-spell and then pass. Yeah, so I'm just kind of trying to think back to the whole leaving Seyfert on board. It didn't end up mattering because Dino's probably going to win here anyways. But yeah, I think it would have been decent leaving Seyfert on field. But we can see again, doesn't really matter too much. Anti-spell going to be dropped in the standby phase. And this is going to be pretty simple for Dino, especially withdrawing this UCT. If they weren't already going to search it, now they have a way to, of course, access it by just hard drawing it. Ovi is going to send a copy of Petit Pteranodon, which is the second Dino, to go ahead and drop UCT. They're going to go to battle phase, attack over the Levy, and then attack for 5,700 damage. And Winda UCT, again, is going to have to be what the Dragon League player plays through, and I'm not really sure if that's possible at this point. They draw a dead Chaos Space, and that is going to be it. So Dino taking this match 2-0. Really, really convincing game 1. Just the combo that really stops Dragon League from doing anything. I imagine, of course, they know the matchup. And game 2 really was able to apply pressure with the Pankratops, clearing the anti-spell, able to just kind of set up a strong board. We also see the value of Verite Anaconda with the Shadal package going second. So now we're going to move into the second replay, which is going to be featuring B2O Beatrice on Trankids versus Engets, which is Gabriel Nets on also Dinosaur. Again, they're all playing the same deck. And I guess it's worth mentioning as well that I'm featuring these in the order that these replays completed. And it's also fitting because, well, you'll see why in a second. But we're going to go ahead and get started with this matchup here. I am just totally butchering my words. Looks like they're going to get started, and the Dino player is going to win this RPS as well. But they're actually going to opt to go second, unlike their teammate who chose to go first, which is pretty noteworthy. So maybe they're not on the same build. But the opening hand for Prank Kids going first is going to be Ash, Fansies, Dropsies, Gamma, and Desires. So, it has a couple of Prank Kids for sure. And we'll see what the Desires will draw into as far as extenders are concerned. Because right now this would lose to a, hand trap like Ash or Meister, for example. But overall, pretty good stuff. And then the opening hand for the Dino player going second is going to be Overraptor, Pankratops, Archosaur, Petit Pteranodon, and the Psychic Soldier that rides in a battle against the security forces on Current of Lightning using an autonomic amplifier called Psyframe. Glad it made an appearance here in the finals, but yeah, no specific go second cards except maybe Pankratops, but that's part of the engine anyways. No hand traps, anything of that nature. So it might be a rough one. They're going to start up with a copy of Fansies. That's going to be linked away for the Meow Meow. Fansies is going to activate. That's going to mill the Pandemonium, summoning out the Lampsies from deck. And then from here, those are going to be linked away for a copy of Dodo, which triggers both effects of Dodo and Lampsies, summoning out a copy of Dropsies, burning for 5, and adding a copy of Pranks to hand. And then from here, they're going to go and use the Dodo effect. That's going to tribute to add back Pandemonium and the Fansies from grave back to hand. They're going to activate Pranks. That's going to pitch the Fansies, summoning out the token. Then they're going to link off into another Dodo, triggering Dropsies. That's going to summon out a copy of Roxy's, gaining 1,000 in the process. And then those are going to be linked off for a copy of Bow Wow. And then Roxy's is not going to be activated here, choosing to keep everything. They're going to go and set Pandemonium and go and proceed to end phase. So choosing not to Desires here, that is a pretty interesting decision. They're going to go and resolve Pranks in the end phase. That's going to draw into a Lampsies, and that is going to be a pass from there. For turn, we're going to see a top pick Giant Rex, so both players on Giant Rex so far. They're going to start things off in main phase by summoning Pankratops. So they're going to be thinking, they're choosing not to use Pankratops on its summon. So Bow Wow is going to be used. That's going to tribute itself to add back the Roxy's and the Lampsies. So this actually is not going to be Battle Butler setup. So I wonder what their game plan is here. I actually didn't even notice that they shuffled back the Fansies off the Pranks, so they're not even going for Battle Butler in this matchup. Which I guess makes sense, since obviously Pandemonium's timing kind of locks you into a window where Misk is going to be active. So yeah, it definitely is a bit awkward there. Maybe they're just going for a resource game. So they're going to attempt to end main phase. They're going to go to battle phase. You're going to attack with Pankratops for 26, and then they might actually just pop the Pandemonium battle phase here. They are going to do that, so that's going to actually be responded with Gamma. So Gamma going to hit the board. That's going to summon itself and Driver from deck. And then in main phase 2, we're going to see Archosaur come down. So that's going to go ahead and pop Petite for the pill, which triggers a Petite effect as well. So that's going to actually be Ashed right there. And then they're going to link away the Archosaur into a copy of Linkuriboh, and then going into Secure Gardner. They're then going to use Pill. That's going to banish 2 for a copy of the UCT. And then they're going to go ahead and end main 2. They're going to proceed to use Pandemonium here. So that's going to fuse away Dropsies and Roxy's, summoning out a copy of Weather Washer. They're then going to go ahead and trigger both the effects. They're going to banish Lampsies for a copy of Ice Dragon's Prison. That's pretty good. And that's actually just going to be a straight up concession right there. Yeah, I mean, there wasn't really a whole ton to do for the Dino player. They weren't actually able to really amass that much advantage, and Prankids were just really, really far ahead at that point. So just deciding to scoop it up right there, and not even using the Desires, didn't even need it. But now we're going to move into game number 2 of this match here, where it looks like Dino is going to still opt to go second. And I should mention here, if you guys are enjoying this series of commentaries, definitely please do consider dropping a like on the video and subscribe if you're new here and want to see more commentaries similar to this. But the opening hand for Prankids going first again is going to be Triple Tactics Talent, Solemn Judgment, Dropsies, Instant Fusion, and Lampsies. So we have a lot of ways to actually play past Singular Disruptions now. Instant Fusion is one of the best extenders. We have Triple Tactics Talent to help, kind of look at the opponent's hand if it's not even needed to draw, and Judgment to kind of help back up our entire board. So looking pretty good here. And then the opening hand for Dino going second is going to be Evolution Pill, Fossil Dig, Overraptor, Gamma, and Misk. So this has Gamma, which is pretty good, but again, the Instant Fusion is going to help play past that. Not to mention that will play into this Triple Tactics Talent here. We're going to start by normal summoning Dropsies, and that's going to be then linked away into a copy of Meow. Triggering the Dropsies, that's going to be met with Gamma, so that's going to hit the board, negate and destroy, well, negate the Dropsies, and it's already engraved, of course. And then we're going to see Triple Tactics Talent come down to look at the hand, and they're going to be thinking, because, I mean, there's a lot of redundancy right here, a lot of just the same Dino cards, right? So they're going to pick Misk out of those. And then we're going to, they're actually typing in chat just so that the watchers can know what's in hand, which is fair enough. We're going to see Instant Fusion come down next for a copy of the Weather Washer. And then those are going to be linked off for a copy of Dodo. Triggering the Dodo effect, that's going to go and add a copy of Pandemonium to hand. And then we're going to see a Pandemonium activation, fusing away the Lampsies and the Dodo on field. That's going to go for Rocket Ride. And then Lampsies is going to trigger for a copy of the Fansies, burning for 500 as well. Then we're going to see Rocket Ride activate to summon back the Dodo and the Lampsies. I guess I could have chain blocked previously, but, I mean, your opponent probably would have responded with something prior. So we're going to see Link summon for the Bow Wow, and then Fansies is going to go ahead and mill Pranks to summon a copy of And then they're going to use the Dodo to add back Pranks and Pandemonium. So again, it doesn't look like they're going for that much of a dedicated butler setup. Let's see if they go for it here, though. They're going to set 2 and then go for pranks in the end phase. That's going to shuffle back Weather Washer, Rocket Ride, and Dropsies. So I guess they do have the option to go for it this time around if they wanted to. But they're going to shuffle everything back and then draw into Imperm. And then pass. Interesting to see this in the deck as well. We're going to see Prosperity be the top deck for Dino, which is honestly one of the best top decks they could have asked for. So they're going to be thinking they're actually going to let main phase go through, so not bothering with like Dark Ruler. Prosperity, I mean, they would have had to have drawn it for turn, I guess, because they already knew everything off of the tactics. So we're going to see a Excavation of 6. They're going to not actually find anything super great here. I guess Lost World is one of the best cards you could add to your hand in this scenario. Cosmic's a bit late. So they're going to go ahead and actually add Lost World and then put everything back. Actually, let's see what was banished as well. So we see, okay, so they actually are also on the Dagda package, but they chose to go second, which is a very interesting diversion in strategies here. Maybe it's to have the opponents think that they're like not on the exact same build and the same combo, because I mean they're probably obviously in a voice comms. So maybe like the opponents are communicating that, oh hey, you know, this player is going for the Dagda Scythe combo, watch out for it. But like then this player might be like, well, my opponent decided to blind second anyway. It's pretty interesting. But yeah, we're gonna see Lost World being taken there, and then they're going to follow that up with Fossil Dig. That's gonna grab Misk. And then we're going to see right here the Bow Wow going to activate. That's going to banish the Meow Meow in place of it being tributed. So going to add the Fansies and the Lampsies here. They're then going to opt for the Pandemonium right here, but instead of going for Battle Butler, they're going for Weather Washer. So yeah, we are just kind of seeing they're not really valuing the Battle Butler in this matchup, which makes a lot of sense, but they're trying to just get resources. So they're going to trigger Lampsies and Fansies. They're going to summon out the Fansies off of the Lampsies, and they're only going to mill off Fansies. So that's a pretty interesting decision. Try not to clog the board, I suppose, which is fair enough. They're going to activate Misk effect in hand, then they're going to activate Lost World. And then when they go to normal summon Overraptor, that's going to be met with the big judgment right here. And that is pretty devastating, because you know the last card in hand is a Dead Pill. Can't be activated right here, not enough different types. They are going to go, however, for the Banish of 2 for Misk. That's going to summon out a copy of Baby. And the Lost World triggers, they're going to chain Weather Washer in response. That way they can bring back 2 monsters and clog the zone so that the token can't be summoned. Yeah, that's why they opted not to summon off the Fansies right there. Again, they didn't want to clog their board. And this is why. So yeah, this is pretty solid. And that is going to be the end of this match. So Dino going to be falling 0-2 to Prankheads. So 2-2-0 so far, which is pretty fascinating. Yeah, I think that was really well played by the Prankheads player. Again, you know, Battle Butler really doesn't do a whole ton when your opponent has Misk Protection, especially when you see them at it. So you might as well go for the play that'll give you more resources and the play that'll lose to fewer things. Because again, this play really just beat Lost World right there. So now we're going to move on into our third and final match, which is going to be between Brulux on the Flux on Prankheads as well versus Paulo PRRJ Gonçalves on Dinosaurs. And I'll leave a link to Paulo's YouTube channel if you want to check it out in the description box below. But let's now get started with the deciding final match. It's pretty fitting that, again, this is the second time that the last match actually does matter here, because of the fact that, you know, we had 2 different results for the previous matches, with different teams taking the win there. But the RPS victor goes to the Prankheads player, who gets to decide, and they're going to choose to go first here. So whoever wins this match is going to win the entire LCS for their team, so pretty exciting stuff. Opening hand for the Prankheads player going first is going to be Roxy's, Droll, Pandemonium, Ash, and Lampsies. So we see 2 hand traps, and we see Pandemonium, which is a great way to extend past singular disruptions again. Again, this deck really needs ways to beat stuff like Ash and Gamma. So it's great to see this stuff here. And then the opening hand for the Dino player going second is going to be Pankratops, Fossil Dig, Ovi, Ash, and the Psychic Soldier that rides into battle against security forces on Currents of Lightning using an autonomic amplifier called Psyframe. Oh, unfortunate both Paulo and Nets opened the driver. That is rough. But yeah, Pankratops in the opening hand as well, which is not too bad. Ash will unfortunately not be enough here for the Dino player. but good if you're the Prankets player. So they're going to go ahead and proceed. We're going to see Roxy's be the normal summon. That's going to go and be linked away for the Meow Meow. They're going to trigger the Roxy's. That's going to be Ashed, but not a big deal because they have Pandemonium already. So that's going to... Oh, that was a misclick right there. They're going to go ahead and fuse with the Lampsies and the Meow Meow for the Rocket Ride. So now there's intel on this Ash in hand. But both effects going to be triggered. They're going to chain block here, playing around potential other hand traps like Meister, Gamma, for example. But going to go ahead and summon a copy of Fansies here. And then they're going to be thinking. They're going to link summon straight away into a copy of Dodo. And then they're going to trigger Dodo and Fansies, milling a copy of Pandemonium and summoning out the Dropsies. And then Dodo is going to resolve for Pranks. We're then going to see the Dodo activation. That's going to attribute itself for Pandemonium and the Fansies, adding them back to hand as well. They're going to activate the Pranks here. They're going to pitch the Fansies, and then that's going to generate a token. They're then going to summon out a copy of Barwell Bark, and then trigger the Dropsies. That's going to gain 1,000, and then summon a copy of Fansies. And then they're going to proceed to set Pandemonium, end main phase 1, and then pass. Prankets Pranks is going to be activated. In the end phase, it's going to shovel back 3 and then draw into a copy of Nibiru. So lots of hand traps. I do wonder if they're also playing the Ice Dragon's Prison that we saw the other player have in the deck as well. But yeah, even if their board got cleared, they still have 3 hand traps, which is solid. And they have access to either the Butler setup if they want to, or they could go for the Weather Washer plays that we saw in the previous match as well. So the top deck is going to be Lightning Storm for the for the Dino player, which is definitely not too bad. They're going to be thinking in standby. They're going to let that go through. They're going to go and use the Lightning Storm for spells and traps, which will, of course, be met with the Pandemonium. And they're probably going to chain the Bow Wow in response as well. Yeah, so adding back the Lampsies and the Dropsies here. And then they're going to fuse for, the Weather Washer. So again, this is a trend that we've seen. So these players have collectively decided to go for this route in this matchup in particular. So they're going to trigger Dropsies and Fansies, milling a copy of Place, and then choosing not to summon anything. They're actually going to go for Weather Washer as well, bringing back the Bow Wow and the Dodo. Interesting choice to do it here. I do wonder what the rationale is. I'm not a seasoned Prankets player, so I can't necessarily identify the cause for using Weather at this point in time. But I would be happy if anyone could let me know. But we're going to see Fossil Day be activated. That's going to search a copy of Miscellaneousaurus from deck to hand. And then Jola is going to be used in Resolution, which is crippling against Dino for sure, because now Archosaur won't be able to resolve, and that is going to definitely hurt substantially. We are going to see Pangotops come down, however, and then we're going to see Miscellaneousaurus be used in the hand. And then they're going to normal summon the Oviraptor. They might just go and send... Well, they have to send another Droll. But they might just banish 2. And then we'll see how far that gets them. They're going to go ahead and mill a copy of Rex. So they get another body here with the Misk. They can also bring out a baby. They can use Pangotops effect. Then Ovi pop the baby for the Pank. And then trigger the baby as well. They can go for a couple of plays here. So Misk effect is going to be used for 2. They're going to actually Ash that in response. So that definitely is going to put a stifle to those plays. Rex is going to be used next. That is going to go ahead and bring itself back to the field. And then we are going to see them think here. They're going to overlay for a copy of Evil Zardalka. And then proceed to battle phase. They're going to attack into the Bow Wow Bark with Pangotops. Kind of have to do it right here like this. You can't attack into the Dodo since it's gaining 1,000 from the Bow Wow. And they can't be short of battle due to the Weather Washer. So yeah, they're just going to attack for some damage here. And look at that, they're still at 9,100 after that. They're going to just pass here. So it's Dolka Pangotops against this board, which is definitely not too bad. We're going to see a top deck Ash return, I believe that was. And we're going to see Pangotops immediately used to get rid of the Dodo, not wanting to deal with that right away. And this is actually not looking horrible for Dino. The problem is they just don't have really any follow-up at the moment. So we'll have to see. They're going to go and normal summon the Lampsies. Oh, and that's 1,500 attack, but it's gaining 1,000 due to the Bow Wow, and that does beat over the Dolka. Yeah, and now they can just full combo. This is definitely Prankets' game. They're going to proceed to battle phase. They're going to beat over the Dolka. And yep, that is going to be game 1 going to Prankets. So very interesting stuff. I don't really think that was a super conventional game. But again, we're seeing the payoff of just going for resource management on the side of Prank Kids, and it really is working out well in this matchup. So we're now going to move into game number 2, and we're going to see the Dino player opt to go second again. Well, actually, they lost the RPS, but they are going to opt to go second. Opening hand for the Prank Kids player going first again is going to be Ice Dragon's Prison, Dark Ruler No More, Joel and Lockbird, Fansies, and Dropsies. So fascinating that they kept in a trap. That's really strong going first, but also are playing, Dark Rulers and stuff for going second. Maybe they're just not sure of what the choice was going to be, which is fair enough. Especially because, again, we had intel that one of the players on the Dino team was choosing to go first if they won the die roll. So that kind of adds a layer of ambiguity. But this hand looks pretty decent. Not really a way to beat a singular disruption, but has a couple of Prank Kids and some solid non-engine cards. And then the opening hand for Dino going second is going to be Baby, Lost World, Double Evolution Pill, Misk, and Prosperity. So wow, the Prank Kids player opened the extender that they needed when the Dino player opened the Ash, or just a way to stop the Prank Kid Engrave. But when the Dino player didn't open that, they didn't have the extender anyway. So kind of funny how that lined up. But we're going to see a normal summon of Fansies here. That's going to be linked away for a copy of Meow Meow. And then they're going to trigger the Fansies. That's going to mill Pandemonium to summon out a copy of the Dropsies. They're then going to link those away for a copy of the Dodo, which triggers the Dropsies and the Dodo effect. So we're going to see a summon of Roxy's and a search for a copy of Pranks. And then from here, we're going to see nothing of Resolution. Just trying to track the summons here. This is 5 summons already. So just considering Nibiru potentially. But we're going to go ahead and see Dodo add back the Pandemonium and Fansies. And then they're going to activate Pranks. That's going to pitch the Fansies, summon out a token, and then link away for another copy of Dodo, triggering Roxy's, banishing the Dropsies, drawing into Gamma, which actually is quite good because, again, Bow Wow kind of paves the way for this card to be live. So they're going to summon a copy of Lampsies off of this. And then they're going to be thinking. They're going to link away for a copy of Bow Wow. And then Lampsies is going to trigger to burn for 5. And they're opting not to special, which, again, makes sense because of this Gamma here. So they're going to set Ice Dragon's Prison and Pandemonium, and then end phase, activate Pranks. That's going to shuffle back the 3 and then draw into a copy of Droll. So double Droll, not the best, but not horrible either. And again, no setup for a Battle Butler, but not really needed in this matchup, as we've well established. For turn, we're going to say top deck Call by the Grave. That is not bad because that is going to deal with a Bow Wow, and they're not going to have any Prank Kids actually moving forward. So that is a very, very solid top deck. We will see if Joel is going to be used before they get the window for Call by the Grave on the Bow Wow, because that might complicate things. So they're going to proceed. Actually, they're going to use Bow Wow straight up in standby phase. So that's going to fetch the Call by the Grave immediately. And this was done, I assume, to play around like Dark Ruler. But yeah, Call by the Grave just putting an answer to that. But Joel will probably resolve here, so that's not too bad, especially given how much searching this hand is probably going to have to do. So we're going to see Prosperity come down first. That's going to banish 6, it looks like. And then they're going to go and Excavate 6 as well. And Fossil Dig is a pretty good one. Yeah, we see, again, more of the Shadal fusions. Again, Gris is in here, by the way, for Misk, just in case that wasn't clear. But yeah, they're going to go and select off of those a copy of Lightning Storm. Yeah, choosing not to go Fossil Dig, which makes sense because Misk Baby is already, more than enough. So on Resolution, Joel is going to be activated, and that is quite strong for sure. So Lightning Storm is going to come down. That's going to get rid of the back row, and getting that Ice Dragon's Prison out of the way is very solid. So they're going to activate Lost World, and even though they can't resolve Archosaur to search, they still have Lost World Baby, so that's definitely good. So Lost World triggers for the token, and then Baby can run into it and get additional pluses as well. So that's going to come down. They're going to go ahead and destroy the Petite due to Lost World's protection, and then use Petite for a copy of Overraptor. Then they're going to use Overraptor's effect. That's going to go and send a copy of Misk. Main phase 2, they're going to go and activate Ovi for Baby. This can't attack due to Petite, but even if it could, that would have played into Gamma actually. So definitely is super solid there. So they're going to pop the Baby for the Petite there with the Ovi, and then Baby triggers for a copy of Rex. They can then go for Misk for 1, and they're going to summon out Archosaur. That is pretty interesting. I wonder why they went for that here. Let's see. Maybe they wanted to keep the baby in the graveyard here. They're going to link for... Oh, yeah, this makes sense as well. They want different typings for the pill. So they're going to go for Link Rebo. And then they're going to go for a copy of Penistag. So they did, get rid of a lot of their generic Link 2s, like Lambda and Dagda, for instance. Verte as well. Here they're going to use Pill. They're going to banish Rex and Link Rebo. That's going to summon out a copy of the Conductor Tyranno from deck, and then Rex gets to bring itself back. And then from here, they're going to go for a Abyss Dweller. Very, very solid against Prankids, especially in this kind of game state. So this is looking pretty good, because even though they have Dark Ruler, it's not great if Dweller resolves. So they're just going to pass from here. We're going to say top deck Solemn Judgment, which is also not going to be amazing. There's no engine for Prankids right now. So Doi is going to be activated in standby or draw phase, and then we're going to see a main phase be good to go. They're thinking here. This is a big, big think. They're going to activate Dark Ruler. So they might summon Droll then, because there's not really any reason to do that if you don't have any plays to make. So they're going to normal Droll, yeah, and then they're going to link it to Nightmare Phoenix. All right, I actually didn't expect this. So Phoenix is going to pitch Gamma. That's going to go and pop Lost World. That's going to draw into Fansies, which, I mean, there's the engine card, but we already committed to our normal, so not looking super great. They're just going to have to rely on this Judgment to get there. These are some big thinks right here. They're going to go Battle Phase. They're going to attack over the Dweller. No damage, of course, because Dark Ruler, and then they're going to set Judgment and pass. So with Misk in hand and with, Petite still on board, I think this is just going to be most likely the end of the game. Draws another copy of Misk for turn. So not super, needed here, but it's nice. Wow, this is a lot of thinking. I'm spamming the next play button. You might be able to hear my mouse. We're going to go ahead and activate Misk, and that is just an immediate concession right there. So game 2 goes to Dinos. We were tied 1-1, both in terms of the overall match score and for the both for the match score and for the team score. And now this is this is it. This entire tournament comes down to this. Pretty exciting stuff. It all comes down to this final game. Whoever wins this is going to take the win here. And they're taking quite a bit of time to decide. Obviously, don't want to make any mistakes. They have their teammates consulting them, so definitely makes a lot of sense. Oh my goodness. All right, here we go. So game 3, we're gonna see Prankids go first. So the opening hand for Prankids going first is going to be Dropsies, Double Fansies, Desires, and Pandemonium. So this is good. Has a way to, again, beat the interruption and has Desires. So we'll see if the Desires gets used this time, unlike the teammates in the previous match that didn't even need to use Desires. I do want to see, more non-engine cards as well. And then the opening hand for Dino going second is going to be UCT, Pill, Baby, Gamma, and Prosperity. So again, the time that they open the way to stop the normal summon of Prankid is the time where they draw the extender to match it. So it'll be all reliant on what they draw for turn plus Prosperity, which is not really a great situation to be in. And besides that, there's not really any good engine Dino cards. This is kind of just a brick. So we're going to start things off here with a normal summon of Fansies. That's going to be linked away for a copy of Meow Meow. And then Fansies gets to trigger. That's going to be Gammad. And that actually does matter because Fansies is one of the important ones to resolve. They didn't start out with Dropsies. So that's going to negate and destroy it. But of course, we're going to have Pandemonium to fix this anyways. So going to go for Rocket Ride, triggering the Dropsies and the Rocket in sequence. So that's going to gain 1,000 and then summon out a copy of the Lampsies from deck. And then we're going to link those off for a copy of the Dodo. And then these effects are going to trigger. So we're going to burn for 5, summon out Roxy's, and add a copy of Pranks. Now, they already had the Pandemonium, so I guess Fansies resolving didn't matter because they could just add it back anyways. So scratch what I said earlier. They had the extender, so it made sense that it actually didn't really matter which one they started with here. They're going to then use the Dodo. That's going to tribute itself to add back the Pandemonium and Dropsies. Maybe they actually started out with the Fansies specifically to try and get Pal to use his interruption there. Just because, again, this is like one of the more crucial ones to resolve, of course. But Desires is going to be activated here, so that's going to banish 10 and then draw into 2 more cards. It's going to be Lampsies Gamma. Let's see if Driver got banished. We see Cosmic, Ice Dragon's Prison, Droll, Judgment, but no Driver. So this is looking pretty good. They're able to go for the pranks for the token, and then Bow Wow, not trigger the Roxy's for the summon, and then have Gamma live again, which is pretty good. So they're going to be thinking here some more. Obviously, it's a crucial game 3 of the finals. Don't want to mess this one up. Going to go for pranks. That's going to activate. They're thinking on the cost here. They're going to pitch the Lampsies for the token. They're then going to link off for a copy of Bow Wow. And then Roxy's is going to trigger. That's going to banish the Fansies to draw one. I imagine they don't summon here, but they draw Droll, which is really good. And they're going to opt to not summon. Yeah, no special here. Yeah, I figured that they wouldn't. They're going to go for a set Pandemonium. And they can proceed to end phase where Pranks is going to activate. Yeah, I mean, they didn't do it in game 2, so there's not really any reason to do it in game 3. It's the same setup with Gamma and Bow Wow. So they're going to draw Ash. Wow, these draws were pretty good. These draws are very, very good. Not really too much else to say there. This is going to be pretty tough for Dino to beat, especially with this weak of a hand. They're just going to pass. And then for turn, we're going to see a top deck UCT. Wow, draws the second UCT. That is not where you want to be if you're Dino. Unfortunate, really. So nothing to activate. We're going to see a draw phase. Bow Wow being activated for Lampsies and Fansies. So they're just going to add those right back to hand, and you're gonna have to deal with, Gamma, Droll, Ash, as well as Pandemonium. So their only real play is Prosperity, so they don't have much of a choice. They're gonna use Prosperity here. That's going to banish 6, I definitely imagine. And we are going to see an excavation of Ash, Feather Duster, Misk, Fossil Dig, Lost World, and Babies. So I think Fossil Dig is the best option. Actually, they could go Lost World to beat Droll, because Droll would definitely beat Fossil Dig, absolutely. So you might have to. There's not really any great choices here. I mean, they're all fine. It's just like this hand is so strong from Trinkets. So they're going to be thinking, and they're going to add Lost World after much deliberation. And this is good because it does play around the Droll to some degree, which will be dropped here, of course, on resolution. And this is a pretty intense game 3. Again, it's the finals. Don't want to mess anything up. So they're going to be thinking. They're asking which Frankids are in hand. They're going to go for Lost World. And we'll see what happens afterward. They're going to normal summon the Baby. That triggers the Lost World. And now Gamma is offline, so all they have to really contend with is Ash. Of course, that is unknown, plus Pandemonium. And then they're going to be thinking here. They're going to go into battle phase, but at the end of main phase 1, we are going to see Pandemonium potentially come down here. They're actually going to let this resolve, so they're going to go for the battle phase and then attack into the token. They're going to protect it with Lost World here. They're going to send Petite, and then they're going to summon out Pankratops. And then from here, they're going to use Pankratops' effect. That's going to go and pop the Pandemonium in the battle phase. So it's going to basically stop it from resolving or being able to be used. So that's pretty solid for sure. They're then going to be thinking here. And they're going to banish 2 for the Conductor, which is actually not too bad considering they are still under Droll. And I think they're just going to have to pass here. Yeah, they draw Pankratops of their own, which is very, very solid. So it's going to be awkward, though, with this token, because, again, they can't really target the UCT. But with this Pandemonium gone, and they have 3 Pranks in hand, they need a way to beat the disruption of the normal summon right here. But I think the Pankratops will definitely aid in that. So they're going to be thinking here. They're spending a while thinking. I just have this on fast forward, not even next play. They're going to go special summon out Pankratops, of course. And then they're going to proceed with normal summon of something. Both players are spending a while thinking. They're actually going to Pranks first. All right, so they're actually going to generate a token right here. And then from here, they're going to be thinking on the token summon. So they're actually going to straight up use Conductor right here. So they actually want to deal with the Pankratops at this moment in time. I think the reason is they could go for Phoenix with the 2 tokens and that allows the Pankratops to actually pop the UCTs. So I think it was now or never because they saw Phoenix in the previous game. So that makes sense. The baby, however, is going to be Ashe, and now the Dino player is just completely out of their engine. They have no follow-ups for next turn, but I don't think it'll matter because they still have a normal summoned. So it's just going to be full combo from Prankids here. They're going to normal summon Fansies, and then they're going to actually link straight up into Dodo. Going to trigger both of those effects, and then go for Pandemonium, and then go for the Roxys as well. And then from here, they're going to link it to a copy of Meow Meow. They're going to go ahead and banish Gamma for the Lampsies. And then they're going to go ahead and be thinking here. They're going to go and link into a copy of Unicorn. So that's going to actually take care of this UCT. And they're going to go and link into another copy of Dodo. This triggers the Lampsies. And they're going to go for Fansies. And if they play Access Code, this is game right here. They're going to have to go for it. They are going to summon Access Code. It's going to gain 3,000 attack. They're going to target Unicorn. And that is the end of the match. So in this crazy 3v3 tournament, it looks like actually Prankids ×2 plus Dragon Link is going to take the win over the Dino team. So huge congrats to these players. Really well deserved, really well played. Some super good navigation of the game state, and the draws off of the pranks and the Roxys were very much instrumental in helping that game out for sure. But that is going to be it for the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a like as well as any thoughts or feedback in the comments. Subscribe for more informative and competitive Yu-Gi-Oh content. If you want to, you can follow me on all social media platforms or support me with the links in the description as usual. And until next time, I'll catch you in the next video. See you guys.